Have you ever wanted to make fresh pasta, but basically have been a little bit intimidated by the whole process? Do not be scared. Hold my hand, child. I will guide you through it step by step on how to make it. From the making of the dough, to the rolling, to the storing, everything in between. Super easy to make, and you can freeze batches and use it for whenever you need it. So stay tuned for the tips and tricks, and I'll show you how to make it. This one will be a banger indeed. Right, let's go.
Now for the pasta, you're going to sift 450 grams of type 00 farina flour, put it on your counter like that, make a well with the bottom of the bowl, add a pinch of salt, and then you're going to need 4 whole eggs and 2 egg yolks. And then slowly whisk them together like this, and then go around your well of flour and add a bit more flour as you go. Keep going until it gets to a thick kind of creme patisserie paste like this. Switch over to your bench scraper and chop in your flour like this as you go. Then you go in with your hands, fold it over, squeeze down, fold it over, squeeze down. Make sure you rub off all the excess off your hands as well. Do not waste anything. And then just keep working the dough. Get that workout in. You're going to do this for about 8 to 12 minutes until the gluten has formed. Basically, when you squeeze it and the dough springs back. Like this. That's a good pasta. Now you just want to wrap this up in some cling film or a cloth and leave it at room temperature for 30 minutes. So to roll pasta, here are a few things that make your life a little bit easier. A bench scraper, some bench flour, a ruler, a fluted edge pasta cutter for ravioli, and a rolling pin. You can use a wine bottle if you do not have one. Okay, now you're going to cut your pasta into 4 manageable pieces. Cut them like this for your first time making pasta. It will make it easier to roll it through the machine rather than doing it in squares and quarters. Wrap up the bits you do not need in some cling film and put them aside under a cloth. Now flour it just like that, and then you're going to use your rolling pin, roll it into an oval, put it through the machine on the 0 setting once or twice just to kind of get the shape. Then you're going to fold it over like this, and you're going to put it through again like this twice. We're building a bit of tensile strength to this pasta dough. So here's the second fold right there. You can flatten the edges a little bit if it won't fit, or use a rolling pin. Put this through. Now we're going to fold it over again, but we are going to go in from the opposite side. Now this is also important to do because this gives you elasticity in the pasta. So when you're chewing it, it works wonderfully well. We're going to do this 2 or 3 times. We're trying to build some strength in this dough, and we want the pasta to fill the width of the machine. So this really helps with that process. So far, we haven't changed the settings. It's still on 0. We just want to make sure that the dough goes through. Once we're happy at this stage, I think I've put it through 3 times like that. Just going to roll it through again once on this setting to get that lovely sheen and shine. Now at this stage, we turn the setting up 1, so from 0 to 1, and we put the pasta through. We keep going until we get it to a 5. Because that's the length I'm going to have for the first pasta I'm going to show you, which is pappardelle. You can do 6 as well, but I like 5. It has a nice chew. Cut the sheets into 10 inches. That's where your ruler really helps. Lightly flour them and then cover them with a damp cloth if you're not using straight away. Flour 1 sheet here like this so it doesn't stick, and you're going to roll it on top of each other. Keep going. You don't have to go super tight with it, and then you're going to cut this into 1-inch pieces. Make sure you leave a little lip. Now when you're cutting, go down and through. Don't squeeze it or that's going to squish the pasta together. Pick it up, give it a shake, and you've got some lovely pappardelle pasta there. Add a little bit of flour, and it's very easy to store on a tray. You can just let it dry out for 20 minutes before you cook it, or if you want, you can dry it out for longer and freeze it. Always use a damp cloth over the top so it doesn't dry out if you're not using it straight away. As long as it's floured in between, you can put it on a tray like this, or you can roll it up in nice little wadges and freeze it on a tray. Stay rolled up, you. Now for stuffed pasta, we're going to roll it through to a 6. We're going to get the pasta nice and thin so you can see your fingers through. For your first time, I would stick with this setting. Do not go any thinner than this because you're going to be very deflated when it rips and doesn't work out. You can see my fingers through there, nicey. Now just trim off that little bit there so you get a nice straight edge. Measure 10 inches and cut that through so you've got some workable sheets. Do not throw any of this trim out. I'm going to show you what to do with that later. Now I'm going to use a 2-inch fluted cookie cutter to make the ravioli. Make a few indentations across your sheet and then stuff it with whatever you would like. I'm using a lovely butternut squash filling here. We'll drop a video on that soon. Use a brush to wet around the edges or your finger. Take your other sheet and drape it across. Now the trick here is to force the air out and not rip anything. You can lift and stretch the pasta as well to fit, so do not panic. What really helps now is to get a smaller cookie cutter, invert it, and then you just use that to form the shape of whatever filling you're putting in your pasta. Don't overfill your pasta. A teaspoon for small ones like this is plenty, or a tablespoon for bigger raviolis. Work your way around, use your thumbs, and you can see I'm just pushing out all the air. Work towards one way. These look very nice indeed. I'll double check it. Then I'm going to use a bigger cookie cutter and center it and stamp them out one by one. Work your way through until that is all done. Do not throw away this pasta. I'll show you what we're going to do with this. Sometimes you can just re-roll it if it hasn't got too much filling in it. Go around the rabs, gently pinch at the edges to seal, and there you have some beautiful petite ravioli. Place your rav on a floured tray. Normally I use semolina, but I couldn't find any at the store, and then cover with a damp cloth. Now, another way to do this is take a full sheet, fold it in half until you get the center point. Flatten that down to make a crease like I just did there. Cut that through and you've got 2 equal pieces. And the same process applies. Just fill this, moisten round, add on the other sheet, knock out the air, and stamp out your raviolis. Don't forget to seal the edges. Now you've got that excess trim, you can actually just scrape off the filling of any stuffed pasta you're using like that and re-roll them, or you can just cut them and set them aside, dry them out, and you're going to have some scraps of pasta which are great to just cook and eat on any day you need some pasta. If you don't have a fluted cookie cutter, you can just use a round pastry ring as well and make some round ravioli. Put a bit more filling in these ones so they're a little bit more substantial. Play around with different shapes, have a go. Don't be afraid if you make a mess or they're not perfect. That is the joy of pasta. It's a lot of fun. You get better and better the more you practice. There you go. They look absolutely delicious. Now we're going to cover those with a damp cloth. All the trims here, I'm just going to cut them through, lightly flour them, let them air dry for about 20 minutes or so. Then I'll freeze them in a Ziploc bag. They keep for 1 month in the freezer frozen. Whenever you want to cook them, make sure you put them into some rolling boiling water that's been salted and you're good to go. Plenty fresh pasta. Now we're going to take one of our pre-rolled sheets at number 6 and we're going to make some fettuccine. Cut that in half just like that and put it through the fettuccine attachment. Oh, make sure you got the crank in the right hole. Story of my life. What the donut. Right, now keep going, work that through and it's going to come out the other side and you have some beautiful fettuccine. If you don't have this attachment, you can just roll this and use a knife and cut it like the pappardelle, a little bit smaller, of course. A little bit of flour, make it into a nest and set aside, and we've got some beautiful fettuccine. Now I'm going to show you how to make some spaghetti. Same way, we're just going to take a sheet, we're going to cut that in half. You can go a little bit longer here, 12 inches is good. And then we're just going to feed that through the spaghetti attachment. The Atlas Mercato is a fabulous pasta machine. I highly recommend it. Now just feed your sheets through and you have some beautiful spaghetti on the other side. I mean, just look at that. That looks gorgeous. The pasta's got a beautiful sheen. Oh yeah, this is a very nice pasta dough indeed. Sprinkle it with a little bit of flour just to loosen that up and you can set that aside into a little nest. Or alternatively, you can kind of do a nice little swirl like that. Put that on a sheet, let it dry out a little bit, and then freeze them, and you're good to go with your pasta. I'm just going to work my way through this sheet as well, just to finish it off, and show you this beautiful spaghetti one more time. And there we have it, my friends, Pasta 101. I'll do another video and show you some more advanced shapes. But for your first time, I think this is pretty good. So if you like this content, as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Big shout out to all of you that have done so far. Love you, love you, love you. Take care. See you next time.